Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
What's going on, good people? You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and you know it is Triumph Tuesday. Yes, it is Triumph Tuesday. But today, we are talking about built, not self-made. The power of being teachable and coachable. You have to be teachable and coachable. Today, we're not just motivating, we're correcting something that has misled a lot of people. The big idea of being self-made. Let's dismantle that right now. Nobody is self-made. You are either developed or delayed. And if we're honest, a lot of people are stuck not because they lack opportunity, but because they have rejected development. Every level you reach in life, somebody corrected you. Somebody stretched you. Somebody challenged you or showed you something you couldn't see on your own. Even the things you think you figured out, somebody laid a foundation for you to stand on. So today, we are replacing the myth of self-made with the truth. Victory belongs to the coach, the teachable, and the developed. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Join us on this heavenly journey, one song at a time, Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. And today we're talking about not self-made. You are built. The power of being teachable and coachable. Let's look at Proverbs 12, verse 1. Whoso loveth instructions, loveth knowledge. But he that hateth reproof, is brutish. Come on, you got to love knowledge. You got to be coachable and teachable. See, the reality of acceleration, let me give you a better definition of success. Success is not about who works the hardest. It's about who learns the fastest and applies it the quickest. Because effort without adjustment leads to exhaustion, not elevation. That's what creates acceleration. Two people can have the same opportunity, but the one who listens, adjusts, and execute fastest will always separate. And that separation doesn't happen overnight. It is compound. So the real question is not how hard are you working, it's how fast are you evolving? And how quickly are you applying what you are learning? You have to be coachable and teachable. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
You're riding the waves of faith and grace on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and this is Triumph Tuesday, and we're talking about being coachable and teachable. You didn't do it by yourself. You didn't do it alone. So let's talk about coachability is a ceiling breaker. Let me say this clearly. If you are uncoachable, you have already reached your ceiling. Not because you lack talent, but because you've cut yourself off from correction. And anything that cannot be corrected cannot grow. Anything that resists instructions eventually get exposed. But if you are teachable, there is no limit to how far you can go because you're constantly upgrading yourself. Every correction becomes an advantage. Every adjustment becomes acceleration. Coachability is what breaks ceilings that talent alone cannot touch. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
This is Triumph Tuesday, and you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. Let's talk about identity, the beta state. High performers don't see themselves as finished. They see themselves as a work in progress on purpose. They live in what I call a beta state, meaning they are always updating, improving, adjusting. They don't just get comfortable with who they are today. The problem with most people is they get attached to who they are. They protect it, they defend it, they justify it. But winners stay committed to who they are becoming. They understand that who they are right now is just a version, not the final product. We can always get better at what we do. We can always become better people. We just have to be teachable and coachable. We have to learn how to take the good with the bad. We got to learn how to take people telling us, hey, step back, look at what you're doing. This might not look good. This might not be right. But there's ways to say it, but you got to stay in beta state. You have to stay in the beta state. You have to always stay updating, improving, and adjusting. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Triumph Tuesday, and we are talking about being coachable and teachable. You did not do this alone. You have to be built. And if you're not teachable, if you're not coachable, you've already reached your ceiling. I want to talk to some of you all out there with ego. Let's talk about ego versus expansion. Let's go deeper into this. Your biggest barrier is not the lack of opportunity. It's your attachment to your current identity, because growth requires this. You must be willing to let go of the version of you that got you here. And that's uncomfortable, because the version of you worked hard to get here. I understand. But what got you here won't take you there. What is there? That next level. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be corrected. They don't want to look like they don't know. But let me tell you something powerful. Every level of your life is going to require a new version of you. And if your ego, listen to what I'm saying, if your ego won't let you evolve, you will stay stuck in a version that can't sustain your next level. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and this is Triumph Tuesday. Let's talk about identity elasticity. Teachable people have something powerful. They can receive correction without it attacking their identity. They don't internalize feedback as failure, because they don't see feedback as you're not good enough. They see it as here's how I get better. See, that's maturity, that's discipline, that's awareness. When your identity is rooted in growth, correction becomes confirmation that you're on the right path, because only people who are moving get corrected. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. This is Triumph Tuesday. You are built. You didn't do this alone. Coachable and teachable people are the ones who are making it far, who are getting ahead. If you're not coachable and you're not teachable, man, go somewhere and sit down. All right. And I'm going to tell you, people have to tell you, you have to be around honest people. See, environment matters. Let me shift this to your environment. You cannot outgrow a room that refuses to grow. You can be coachable, but if you're surrounded by people who avoid truth, avoid correction, avoid accountability, your growth will slow down, because environments either challenge you or comfort you. And comfort will keep you in a cycle you've been praying to break. Some of you don't need more motivation. You need a different room. You need to find people who are going to hold you accountable. Not no yes men. People going, yeah, that's good. That's all right. And I'm going to tell you, most of these people in your corner talking about, yeah, that look good. They just want to see you fail. They pumping you up. You think they are motivating you. You think they're encouraging you, but they are directing you to fail because they don't want to see you get ahead. Every smile, every person in your corner, that don't mean they're for you. Make sure you change your environment. Get with the right people who are going to hold you accountable, that you can trust. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Bringing the sounds of heaven 24/7, Wave Radio.
This is Triumph Tuesday, and you're listening to the Afternoon Praise here on Wave Radio. If you got a shout out, hit us up. I got you, man. We want to hear what you want to hear, and I know we got what you want to hear. But let's talk about the proximity principle. You need to be in rooms that stretch you. Rooms where you're not the smartest, you're not the most experienced, you're not the most advanced. Because that pressure, that's what produces growth. That's discomfort. That's what exposes gaps. If you're always the one teaching and never the one learning, you stop positioning yourself to win at a higher level. Growth requires humility and proximity to people who see further than you. Surround yourself by smarter people. Keep learning, keep growing. Don't feel intimidated because somebody know more than you. Feel blessed because God has connected you with somebody who's at a level you're trying to get to. And we got to understand that, man. We got to connect with people who are higher than us. We got to stop acting like we know everything. And we don't know everything. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. Guess what? Chicken butt. Y'all remember that when we was kids?
Guess what? What? Chicken butt.
And you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. We got to have some fun. But let's talk about pressure reveals training. Now, let's talk about pressure. Pressure doesn't create anything. It reveals everything. It reveals your preparation. It reveals your discipline. It reveals your mindset. Under pressure, you don't rise to what you intended. You fall back on what you trained for. So if you've trained yourself to receive correction, adjust quickly, stay disciplined, you'll execute even when it's hard. But if you trained yourself to defend, delay, and avoid, you will show too. I mean, that will show. Again, I've been corrected in places, and I'm going to tell you, sometimes they might have misread. They might have got it wrong, but I was disciplined enough to receive it and pray about it and let God handle it, because we don't always have to correct stuff. Everybody is not going to always get it right, but we have to train ourselves to be disciplined, not to defend everything. We have to be disciplined enough so that we can adjust quickly. We got to just learn how to receive correction. And it's hard. It's hard. I've been there. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. This is Triumph Tuesday. Let's talk about the latency gap. This right here is a game changer. The difference between average and elite is the time it takes to adjust. Average people, they hear feedback, they think about it, they feel a way about it, they delay. Elite people, they hear it and they move. No emotional debate, no unnecessary delay. Because they understand speed of correction determines speed of growth. And the longer you take to adjust, the longer you delay results. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
Man, this is a beautiful Tuesday. The weather is crazy. It's hot one day, cold one day, hot one day, cold one day. It's just crazy, man. The behavior of the weather need to be coachable and teachable. But let's talk about micro behaviors of winners. Let me show you how teachable people move. They don't just listen, they lean in. They don't just hear, they ask better questions. They ask, what am I missing? What do you see that I don't? Where is the gap? They don't hide weakness. They expose them so they can fix them. They're not chasing applause. They're chasing precision because they know precision produces results and results creates confidence. Look at your behavior. Look at the small things. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Triumph Tuesday.
That's the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise here on Wave Radio. I need for you to follow us on social media. That is Wave, WAYVVE Radio on all social media platforms. And if you miss any part of this show, you can go on Wave Radio and listen to it minus the music. All right. Let's talk about the multiplication effect. Coachability multiplies everything, not adds, but multiplies. Your skill improves faster. Your opportunity increases faster. Your relationships strengthen faster because people invest in people who can grow. And when people see that you can take instructions and turn it into execution, they trust you with more. And if you're teachable, you become valuable. And when you become valuable, doors don't just open, they stay open. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. Access is earned. Let me give you a truth a lot of people don't say out loud. High-level people are not looking for the smartest person in the room. They're looking for the most developable person in the room. Because talent without coachability is unpredictable. But someone who can listen, adjust, and execute, oh my God, that's someone you can build with. That's someone you can trust. That's someone you can invest in. Access is not random. It's earned through your ability to grow. You change yourself. You change the keys. You position yourself for bigger doors to open and to stay open. You got to be coachable and teachable. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
I hope you're having a great day, a great afternoon, great morning, wherever you are. I know we got listeners from all over the world, so your day part might be different right now. So if you're listening wherever you are, and if you re-listening to this, on social media, YouTube, Spotify, or Wave Radio, how's your day going? How's your night going? How's your moment going? Let's talk about this right here. Leadership warnings. Now, let's talk to the leaders. The higher you go, the less people correct you. Not because you don't need it, but because people start protecting your position instead of sharpening your performance. And that's dangerous. Because the moment nobody can challenge you, you stop seeing your blind spots. And when you stop seeing your blind spots, you start making decisions that cost you. Strong leaders don't avoid corrections. They create environments where it's required. So all you unapproachable leaders that's listening right now, and hopefully that's not a lot, but if that's you, repent, change your ways. Allow an environment that people can come to you and say, hey, pastor, hey, boss, hey, manager, this wasn't right. So can we relook at this? Can we revisit this? You have to have that type of environment if you want your business, if you want your church, or whatever you're leading to grow. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. My time is almost up. We have a little bit more time. So again, if you want to get your shout outs in and your requests, hit me up. But let's talk about the Triumph Triad. If you want to stay winning, lock this in. Stay a learner. Stay in the right rooms. Apply what you learned immediately, not next week, immediately. Not when it's convenient, but immediately. Not when you feel ready, but immediately. Because delayed execution weakens momentum. And momentum is what carries you to the next level. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Triumph Tuesday. I want to thank you for listening to me today. Man, this show has been great. I hope it blessed you like it's blessed me. But I want to close with this. I want to close with this. The real win. What's the real win? Let me leave you with this. Victory is not about being right. Victory is about being refined. It's about becoming the version of yourself that can actually sustain what you're asking for. Because a lot of people want the next level, but they're not willing to become the person that can handle it. So the real question today is, the real question today is not, am I talented? Am I capable? The question is, can I be developed? Because if the answer is yes, there is nothing stopping you. Go win today. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm out of here. I will catch you tomorrow. It is Build a Brand Wednesday. I'm out of here. Peace.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.